Greetings and salutations. This vessel is El Conquistador, and today on El Conquistador Plays, we puck. The fifth most popular sport in America is ice hockey, but it's fourth in El Conquistador's heart because soccer really sucks. Ice hockey as we know it today was first played in 1875 at the Victoria Skating Rink in Montreal, Canada. Before that, people used to look at frozen lakes and decide if they wanted to tempt fate. Luckily, James Creighton figured out a better way. Because of him all those years ago, we have a sport to watch if there's no football, baseball, or basketball on TV. Now, the company EA Sports has been around a long time, and in this humble gamer's opinion, they've taken sports way too far. They're just too realistic. Pick up a copy of NHL 20 and 22 and let old El Conquistador know how long you play it until you rage quit by throwing the disc down a hallway. Go ahead, he's waiting. It's actually about 3 games, which coincidentally is just how long it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop, which is a lot more fun. Hockey games used to be so good, which is one of the main reasons to own a Sega Genesis. But how do we transfer this knowledge to Gen Z? They were born after the likes of Patrick Waugh, Paul Coffey, and Teemu Selanne were worth watching, and they have no idea what a Hartford Whaler is, so they just won't understand. But what's old is always new again in this era of unoriginal ideas, and thanks to NHL 94 Rewind, we get to play the best hockey game ever with an updated roster. Now, that's enough talk. It's time for El Conquistador to grab his Xbox Series X controller so we can make Sidney Crosby cry. Alright gang, here's the situation. El Conquistador has not played this game in many years, but he did mess with it a little bit before filming this, just so he could get his bearings, but not enough to the point where he actually remembers controls or thinks he can actually win the game. However, El Conquistador is going to rest on the laurels of how many times he rented this game from Blockbuster in the 90s, and we'll see what happens. So we're going to recreate the Stanley Cup Finals of this year, 20 and 22. That was Tampa Bay versus Colorado. Those that can Google know that Colorado won, but see, El Conquistador is going to see if he could change history here by choosing Tampa Bay. So let's get it going and see if he can win a best-of-3 series against Colorado. He knows it's best of 7 usually. Oh, Ron Barr for EA Sports. Welcome to the sold-out EA Sports Arena. Tonight's National Hockey League game features the Colorado Avalanche and Tampa Bay Lightning. Lately, Colorado has been playing well. For Tampa Bay, Ryan McDonough is on a hot streak, but Nikita Kucherov is off his game. Okay, it's going a little too fast. Anyways, that's always a cool feature. El Conquistador has no idea if Ron Barrs actually was in the original game or if that's some new guy. Oh, and the Zamboni guy there, that's a career he definitely thought he was going to have at one point in his life as a young lad. We see how that panned out. So this game is just, it's just awesome. It really is. He's sure they polished it a little bit for this re-release, but this really is pretty much what it looked like. And already, El Conquistador is getting screwed by an EA Sports game. That was ridiculous. 1 shot, 1 goal. Here we go. We're a lot of fun, EA Sports. Anyways, this is pretty much how it looked back in the day. And the mid-90s there really when sports games were starting to take off. Oh, why is he back there? So, of course, NHL 94 was huge. It was really the, there was maybe 1 or 2 before this, but it was really the one that really put this franchise on the map. And there was a lot of other awesome sports games coming out at the same time. There was Ken Griffey Jr.'s All-Star Baseball. There's actually 2 games that featured Ken Griffey Jr., but that's the one El Conquistador remembers. Now, NHL 94 had the player's license, and of course, this just has the numbers, so LC has no idea who he's playing with right now. He doesn't really watch hockey. It's tough for him to get into watching it on TV for some reason. Fun sport to watch live, though. But anyhow, you had Ken Griffey Jr. baseball, which did not have the license. It only had him in it, so it was always fun as a kid learning that, thinking that a lot of those weird names were actual baseball players. And they had some... Yes! 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 They had some funky-looking sprites in that game, too. Ken Griffey was pretty much the only normal-looking one. You had NBA Jam, which was huge in the arcades, and then the port was great. Of course, not a very realistic basketball game, but for what the capabilities of the graphics at the time were, excellent. How was that not a goal? That was above his head. Sports games get El Conquistador super triggered. That's why he threw his copy of the newer game. Anyways, NBA Jam was great. There was actually a college version, which he thinks was just called College Hoops, that added a bunch of crazy elements to an already crazy game. Really fun version of that game. Not sure if that one actually ended up in the arcades, but it was definitely on Super Nintendo. You had Super Tecmo Bowl, great football game. Because you got to remember what sports games were before this. So if you go all the way back to Atari, and you had such classics as hockey and soccer. Tennis. Tennis was another one. Oh, jeez. They screwed that up. El Conquistador hates icing the puck, which always gets him in trouble. And if you don't know, that would turn into a face-off, which is when they're in the circle meeting up together. Why? Why would you come out for that? You also had other classics like baseball and basketball and bowling. So you get the gist. And all those games really just amounted to glorified versions of Pong. Maybe not so much bowling because there was 10 targets, but you're just bleeping your bloop with some lines and some dots. So, of course, sporting games were then on the NES, which you did have Blades of Steel, not to be confused with Blades of Glory, which is one of Will Ferrell's best movies. Not hockey related, but check it out. Of course, the original Tecmo Bowl was on there. You had Jordan versus Bird, he believes. He definitely remembers Larry Bird in the basketball game. You had a couple good pro wrestling games, if you consider those sports. A lot of people did in the 90s, that's for sure, and 80s. But anyways, you didn't have a huge depth of things, because you still had games like just straight tennis, which is just a glorified Pong game, if you think about it. You had plenty of golfing games. Of course, there's baseball games, but they always really seem bad on... Yes! Yeah! Take that! That wasn't even a one-timer. Baseball games never really seemed all that good in that era. So again, the mid-90s here really seemed like kicking off with NHL 94 here, that it just... sports games really took off. And video games, for better or for worse, weren't just a nerd activity anymore. You had the jocks in school playing games, and that was kind of a big deal when you were in the social circles that El Conquistador was. Now it's not really like that. Everybody plays games. It doesn't matter if it's a sporting game, shooters, whatever. You just have such a large, diverse crowd of gamers. It's not just a niche nerd hobby anymore. But back then, whew, it sure was. Perhaps if El Conquistador talked more about NHL 94 instead of Pokemon, things could have been different in life. Whoo, on the breakaway, and he was stuffed. So you will notice El Conquistador does throw out some of that hockey terminology, and you can certainly Google what it all means. There's not a lot of rules that are enforced in this. It's not like the stupid new games where it's just everything is a freaking simulation, and it's just too much. It's just not fun. Clearly, they're never going to stop making the games, but it's just not fun when it's that simulation-y, which is why it's awesome they re-released this, because El Conquistador could play this forever. And there's not really a lot of depth to it. I mean, there's not a bunch of game modes. There's no franchise where you can trade, but that's okay. This was just a simple couch co-op game that was awesome to get. And as he said earlier, ooh, is that a win? No! 1 second left! Are you kidding? EA games are rigged. They are rigged so that the computer can win. That is absurd. That is absurd. So yeah, El Conquistador never really owned NHL 94, but he rented it a ton from Blockbuster, and it was a game that always seemed like it was there, especially because he didn't really play it in 93, 94 when it was out. Oh, you're kidding. You could animate the nets off the moorings, but no penalties? Okay. It's a game he played a lot of, even if it wasn't the most up-to-date sports game. It didn't matter back then, because, again, they had the license, but he didn't know who any players were. And with the numbers here, like, yeah, you see them when they score a goal there, but it's so quick. Oh, okay. And again, the graphics are pretty solid for this era. Some nice touches there on the lighting on the ice. That's actually pretty nifty considering, and it doesn't move, but nice little feature to add to a pretty sweet game. El Conquistador thinks it was a 99-cent rental for 7 days, if that's what he recalls. Was that a goal? That's a win for LC! Yeah, baby. That was a defender that scored that. That is how you win a game. Because, see, we play to win the game, all right? That is phenomenal. So, all right. Because it's hockey, we know there's 3 periods. And we like to take breaks here because that's the most important thing about gaming is take a break, y'all, because you need it. So we're going to take 2 intermissions today since it's a best of 3 series, and El Conquistador will be right back. Hello, this is Fun Facts with El Conquistador. And this vessel is your host, El Conquistador. And today's fun facts are about Canada, because they invented ice hockey. Fun fact number 1. Canada has 20% of the world's fresh water. Wow, that's a lot of water. Fun fact number 2. Quebec manufactures more than 77% of the world's maple syrup. Delicious. It's really good on pancakes, or as they would say, flapjacks. The biggest city. Fun fact number 3. The biggest city in Canada is Toronto. El Conquistador would like to go there someday. He hears it's really big. Anyways, that was part 1 of our fun facts about Canada. Stay tuned for part 2 coming up soon. Okay, next game. We're going to swap it around. Team 1's now Colorado. Team 2's now Tampa Bay. LC has no idea who's the actual home team, who's the away team. Doesn't really matter. He's going to win this game because, again, we play to win the game. Mr. Zamboni driver, take care of the ice. This is game 2 of the best of 3 series. The one thing that is missing from this game that he would love... Oh, what? That he would love to see is fighting. It didn't happen in that first game, so he's going to assume it's just wasn't a thing yet. He does know this is the first game that they implemented the one-timer in, which is when you pass it real quick and shoot, which is, of course, why you hear El Conquistador tapping like crazy between that and hitting the same button to try to hit the other guys. But yeah, some fights would be amazing. But it's just not meant to be in this. Thinking along those lines, another amazing football game was actually NFL Blitz. A little bit later, that was probably more like 98, 99 maybe. But of course, it was in the arcade first as well. And if you don't know, NFL Blitz was just NFL football played with utter insanity. You could just headlock opponents, German suplex them, catch things on fire, hit people after the play. And El Conquistador was super sad to learn that wasn't actually how football was played. But they had that. There was NHL Hits, exactly the same type of game, but with hockey. He had that one on GameCube. Not sure if they made multiple versions of that. Blitz had a couple year iterations, and then it had like a reboot on Xbox 360 because they had lost the NFL license, so they tried to re-release the game, and it just wasn't as good. But the funny part was the franchise mode. You could give your players all sorts of steroids and a bunch of different performance-enhancing drugs. So they at least tried to bring it into the modern era. But really great and fun game to play in the arcade. But Blitz and NBA Jam were a bit of a ripoff in the arcade because each of those games has 4 quarters, and they quite literally made you pay 4 quarters or more to play. You'd only get one quarter per play, which was awful on the amount of coins that you were allowed to spend at the arcade. So that's why playing the ports of them were way better. But still, it was fun beating people down in the arcades, as always. Now, thinking back, Sega Genesis really was known for more of the sporting games, but a lot of the games LC has mentioned so far, he didn't have for Sega. But Sega, with the Dreamcast, was where 2K Sports launched a lot of their games, and that's probably the last hockey game El Conquistador actually enjoyed was NHL 2K something. He doesn't really remember what the last one he played was, But EA, of course, got the exclusive license and ruined it like they're apt to do. Same with NFL. NFL 2K5, brilliant game. Something El Conquistador hopes to play on here. He put so many hours into that game. It was $20. It just blew the pants off of Madden, but they knew it. They had the buying power, so they took it out. Same with the NHL franchise. Now NBA 2K is still around, but to El Conquistador, it suffers from the same problem as the rest of these games. It's just too realistic. LC doesn't need to see all the sweat that drips off LeBron James as private parts. No, you don't actually see that unless you mod the console. But seriously, there's just too much, and that's why all these retro games have made such a comeback, because there's definitely an audience, or else they wouldn't continually make that game over and over again. But they're just too realistic. El Conquistador doesn't know what else to say about it. Now 2K did have a really crappy run with baseball games. Those games sucked. That was one of the things EA Sports was actually really good at. Was they had triple play baseball, which morphed into MVP baseball, and they had a college baseball year, which presumably didn't sell well because they never did that again. Of course, NCAA football was always awesome. And it used to be the same game as Madden, but they just fell apart from each other, and Madden got real crappy, and NCAA stayed great. But then the NCAA got sued, and we don't have that game anymore. Though supposedly we're supposed to get an iteration, so hopefully with the new rules and playing. Oh, jeez, that was completely El Conquistador's fault for doing that. He needed to sit on that puck and be patient, but he didn't. He screwed himself, and that is no good. We got to score quickly here, folks, or else it's going to Game 3. Not looking good, by the way. And so these were 5-minute periods, but that's definitely an accelerated clock, so he'll be curious to see how long it actually took to play any of this. Come on. See, when El Conquistador's losing like this, it's tough to think of things to say, because he's not having a good time right now. He hates losing in sports games. Nothing is more infuriating than the EA crap where computers always seem to come back at the last second, or if you're playing Madden and they get ridiculous interceptions or really stupid stuff. Well, that's that, folks. We're going to Game 3. Once again, we're going to take an intermission. El Conquistador's going to go drink some sports drink. Yeah, and we'll be back. We're going to do this. We'll be back. Hello, and welcome back to Fun Facts with El Conquistador. This vessel is El Conquistador, and this is part 2 of Fun Facts about Canada. Fun fact number 4. Hawaiian pizza was actually invented in Ontario. Wow, that's crazy. A lot of people don't like that pizza, including El Conquistador. Fun fact number 5. Canadians consume more macaroni and cheese than any other nation. Wow. El Conquistador would have thought that was America. Crazy. Canada's national... fun fact number 6. Canada's national animal is a beaver. Wow. El Conquistador loves beavers. All right, this segment sucks. Okay, who wrote this crap? Okay, people of Canada, El Conquistador apologizes. This is just absolute trash. Okay, El Conquistador is above this kind of garbage. So maybe next time we'll do a little bit better. But this is crap. Whoever wrote this is getting fired. Okay, this is ridiculous. This is not how you get sponsors. El Conquistador is done. No more fun facts. The stupid segment written by stupid creative. Jeez. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Oh, God. Okay, we're going to do a hot start. Same team iterations, because that doesn't freaking matter. Screw you, Ron Barr. Screw you, Zamboni guy. It's time for El Conquistador to win and rightfully ascend his throne to Stanley Cup glory. And that's actually one of the most fun things about hockey is the winning team, all the weird things they do with that Stanley Cup. And you certainly only see selected pictures, of course, but one can only assume what else they've done with that thing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But anyhow. Ooh, there's some icing there. Conquistador's trying to think what other sports games were big at the time. Again, the problem with sports games before EA came along and started making these franchises was they're just so generic. Everybody made a tennis game. Everybody made a golf game. You had frickin' Mario, who's done everything under the sun. Although, since El Conquistador has said that, he doesn't think Mario has actually done a hockey game. Perhaps it's a mini game in Mario Party or something, but no. There's a Mario soccer game coming out. He's done that before. You got Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, kart racing. Is there a baseball game maybe? But definitely not a hockey game. Mario, Italian plumbers don't really. Oh, that could have been a great play, but it wasn't. Yeah, Italian plumbers just don't get into that. Although Luigi would probably be a great hockey player because he's lanky. Really? Really? He was so far away. You were looking right at him. That's just ridiculous. Why are you skating toward the wall? You gotta attack. You gotta drink your sports drink, get your tackling fuel. Huh? Another failure of a breakaway. This is not going El Conquistador's way. Jeez, just got laid out. All right, not off to a great start, gang, but we got this. We're going to maintain our composure. Xbox Series X controllers cannot take the kind of throws that the old controllers could. Oh! Yeah, LC is not particularly proud to admit this, but he used to throw his Super Nintendo controller all the time, and that thing still lasted to the day that he had to sell it on eBay. He sold all of his retro games, oh dang, before he got married because he needed money and he thought there's no way anyone's ever going to play this stuff again. It's just going to be a nice little memory of a bygone era. Boy, was he wrong. But, thankfully, they're just recreating these retro things over and over again. Because this came out in actually 2021, so we talked about some updated rosters here. So is only as updated as last year, but again, nobody knows who any of these numbers are. It's pathetic that the NHL was usurped by soccer as a more popular sport in America. We used to make fun of Major League Soccer. It was a punchline, but now look at it. Number 4. It's probably coming for baseball next, because that's no fun to watch anymore. It's not like the days of Babe Ruth, where the dude would drink a whole bunch, do meth or whatever, and then go hit home runs. I mean, that's what the people wanted to see, and that's not what they see anymore. It's all Moneyball now. Anyways, we're getting a bit off topic here because El Conquistador's trying to think of things to say, but when he's losing, it's not easy. Nonetheless, this is just such a fun game. He wishes he had friends to couch co-op with. We could play this for hours, but as we well know, that's probably not going to happen. But, jeez, that was such a good shot. All right, 21C. Oh, period's over. Oh, this isn't good. This isn't good. El Conquistador's about to let history play out exactly as it did. Wouldn't that suck? The reality of this, though, is it's still really fun to play. And this is one of those games that El Conquistador loves to just break out and play in between big solo games. Because he just played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, put about 85 hours into that, and there was probably a little more he could do, but it's just a lot of time. So he tries to solo games and just play those, because if he doesn't, he's going to inevitably start something else, and then he's not going to finish what he was playing, and then you forget, and then you got to start over, and it's just a mess when you're investing 50 plus hours into a game. So this game's really awesome to play in between those solo runs. Jeez, this is not good. And through the 3 games that he's played here, he has no idea if the lines have been changing at all for fresh players. That probably wasn't a thing yet. They probably just put in the... Oh, that was the chance. He failed. There's probably some way to do some cool moves, but he didn't do any of that. Really? He bumped into the puck. How is that still icing? All right, gang, this is it. This is... Oh, well. This is the last chance. He might not even get a last chance. Just miss. Oh. No! And just like that, El Conquistador's a failure. Oof. That is a tough one to bear. Well, we could not rewrite history today, folks, but that's okay, because this game really is fun. It's definitely a game that you can get skilled at, that you can play better. So with some more time, perhaps El Conquistador could win that Stanley Cup, and he can eat hot dogs out of it or something, or whatever they may do with that hole in the top. But anyways, highly recommend the play. It's on EA Play right now, so if you have the Xbox Game Pass, it's free to play. Yeah, free because you pay for the subscription. But it's there. Play this game. A lot of fun, and we'll see you next time on El Conquistador Plays.